You did live online too?
And good afternoon. Peace and grace to all within the sound of my voice. You are now listening to Rachelle Wilson here at WHGE for the Make Some Intelligent Noise Criminal Justice and Prison Reform Movement. Actually, it's Justice and Human Rights Movement. This is where we talk about what's going on in our prisons, prison system for profit, and what are our legislators and our government doing in order to help us to be better at controlling this massive incarceration. So stay with us. I've got an amazing show for you for the next hour, and I believe that you will be enlightened by today's guest. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce to you today's guest, a woman, then Sister Abundance Child. I call her Impressa or Empress Abundance, and we like to welcome you so graciously to the show. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'm honored to be here.
Oh my God, sister, I just love you. I've known you for so long, and we always say to each other, I want to be more like you. I know. And you just, I want to be more like you. And I think that we are ultimately learning how to just integrate our personalities. You're a Pisces, I'm an Aries. We just work very well together. Yes. But sister, I admire you on so many levels because I saw you for years. I saw you come up through the struggles. So I have so many questions, and I can't imagine that anyone out there doesn't know who you are, but just in case people are a little bit confused, I do want to kind of get into that. And I want to start with you telling us the story of where you began.
I began with my mom.
Give thanks.
I do, and I really did. And just having a really, really good upbringing and having to be in when the lights came on.
Yeah.
Having to eat my vegetables.
Yeah.
Having to do something other than what was academic. It was like, choose something. Do you want to swim? Do you want to do ballet? Do you want to do gymnastics? I chose ballet.
Yeah.
Having to have at least a 3.0 GPA, which she said was very, very low. But, she wanted us to have 3.5, 4.0. But in order to be able to maintain certain things, so she just gave me a standard.
Yeah.
And she kept us around our family. And like any little girl, you want to be like your mom. So yeah, right. I always, and to this day, want to be like my mom and my grandma and my aunties. And I've just been growing through there. And as I've grown up, I realized that we have other moms and aunties and grandmoms in the communities and in the spirit world that we cannot see, but they're actually there. And so now I'm tapping into that power. And that's where I'm at.
And that's definitely something I want to get into. And since you brought it up, we'll go now instead of later. You definitely have tapped into that spiritual power of our ancestors and sisters, ancestresses and brothers, like you, Ifa. So tell the audience a little bit, what is Ifa and why is that your choice to follow that reliance?
Well, it's always been in my head and I didn't know it. Like, I remember my first experience when I was 3 years old in my bedroom. It was kind of like a lucid dreaming thing. And I realized that there was somebody else in the room with me. There was somebody else trying to get my attention. But I knew this person. Like, I knew this person like she was my mom, like she was my grandma, somebody that rolls with us all the time when I was 3 years old. And later on, I saw this picture, and I was like, I know that lady. And it was my grandmother who had passed 10 years before I was born. Now, I watched Bewitched growing up and all these things. And all these things that I felt like was me was kind of like taboo. It was kind of pagan, or we don't do those things. It's kind of witchy. So I just kept it to myself. And I found other movements, whether it was Nation of Gods and Earth, and the Nation of Islam, then Sunni Islam, then Rastafarianism, then Holy Tabernacle Ministries, then Hebrew Israelite, then more science.
Right.
That was like the last thing for me.
Yes,
I was like, Islamism. But I kept hearing those voices, especially when I would get depressed, especially when things went wrong. I would always hear something. And, you know, we're told this is your first mind. This is, then I would read things and it was like, it's your ancestors. I'm like, well, what is it? Is it my first mind? Is it my ancestors? Is it Oshun? Is it Obatala? Is it Ogun? I go like, who is it? So with a lot of studying, you know how we do. We're always searching and seeking and searching and seeking. I continued to do so while working, while raising my daughters, while trying to find myself in the poetry circle, then hip hop, and then food, like whatever, lecture, radio show. I was always trying to find myself, but I always heard those voices. And those voices give me the spark of creativity. Like, I feel like that is my authenticity, my originality, and my uniqueness in this world is my ability to be creative. And that is a gift, whether it's with food, whether it's with writing, whether it's with speaking. And I'm learning the discernment to realize who's speaking. So that's how that came to be. And on the road, as you seek, if you're doing the right thing, and if you're at the right place and at the right time, and you recognize you're at the right place and at the right time, then your helpers, your angels will come from heaven to earth and you will see them in your reflection. You know, like you. Like when you come around, I'm like, oh my gosh, like you're doing everything I want to do in this life. Like I want to be on the radio.
I'm trying to catch up with you.
We
you
always say this.
I mean, sister, you have been boots in the trenches for years before I even got started. Like I'm only 3 to 4 years in because it affected me personally with my son being kidnapped and incarcerated. That is what it took for me to stand up and get started in this movement. But you have been Ungawa since the beginning.
My mom says that.
Yeah, Ungawa. That's an old word, you know, but it's a word that your mom and I understand. And, you know, from where we come from, it always meant power to our people, Ungawa, to our people. So I'm trying to catch up with you. I mean, you've had radio shows and podcasts and, you know, you do it all. So I'm like, I'm trying to catch up with you. Now, this latest thing you're into, which is the Drop Squad Kitchen, and everybody knows about your food. It's nourishing, it's healthy, and we definitely won't get a fat belly by eating it because it's really good food, okay? I'm still trying to grasp that part. Now, I know why you went from point A to B to C to, you know, but tell the audience.
Why do you think I went from point A to point B?
Well, first and foremost, from our conversations, I think some of that change with you was because you grew and you matured, and it got to a point where it wasn't just about saving your people, but saving yourself and your family.
Yes.
Okay?
I don't want to be on food stamps.
Right, you know? So you had to uplift yourself before you can uplift your community. And I think that's where the maturity kind of came in and took over. Because like I said, ever since day one I met you, you were fist up in the air, and it was all about power to our people. And I think that that's probably, you know, what took that transition for you. Like, I got to do me, and I got to take care of my daughters.
Right.
And then I'll try to take care of the people. And I think that's where Drop Squad Kitchen was born from, you know. So, but you can tell me if I'm right or not.
I believe that you are right. And just like you say, your struggle or your movement started because of your son. Well, my movement started because I felt like we had been lied to. So at first it was going to Clark, Atlanta. You know, I'm from here, was raised in Hockessin, went to Ursuline Academy. It was like, this is it. So I really wanted to go to historically Black institution. And when I got there, I outgrew that whole commercial standard, what they consider to be higher level of learning.
Of miseducation.
And so I was just like, this is not me. I wanted to be at the Bobby Hemmett lectures. Stokely Carmichael, which we know before he passed as Kwame Ture, came and visited, and I joined All African People's Revolutionary Party. I went to go see Alice Coltrane and listen to her, read her book Warrior Marks and Possessing the Secret of Joy, and went to her lectures. I went to see Dr. Africa. Like, I went down to Oyotunji village. Like, I was doing the most. My mom was like, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. And I'm like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. So it went from this Pan-Africanist, finding out about Aboriginal Indigenous information systems like IFA, like phone, like AFA, like all the various different names that it has, to realizing I feel like this is the best way, the best route for me, because I felt like I had been lied to, and I had a young daughter at the time, and I was like, I don't want her to eat pork or beef or dairy for that matter.
Yeah.
I don't want her to be immunized. I don't believe she should have a driver's license or Social Security. I don't believe we should be using the birth certificate. I don't believe she should be in what I consider to be the open enemy's education system. And so against my family's everything, I went against that Ursuline Academy education. I went against that. I had a scholarship, an academic scholarship to college. I went against that. And I started hanging with all the, what I consider to be revolutionaries, which they started coining to be the conscious community or the consequence community.
Yeah.
And I did really well in that community because I found myself. Why? Because there were so many different reflections.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, I saw the conscious community as synonymous with broke, and I didn't grow up broke. And my destiny didn't say broke. My destiny speaks big things: wealth of family, wealth of lineage, wealth of finance, wealth of good husband, wealth of
abundance.
Abundance.
Yes.
That actually literally is my name.
Yes.
And it's my business. Like, it's my business,
Yes.
So
yes.
I was like, how do I do that? And I realized by, studying things like my chart and things like that, I was like, okay, so a lot of my intellectual endeavors are lined up with me emotionally. Pisces and Mercury, Sun and Mercury, Jupiter and, Sun and Mercury, Mercury and Pisces, Jupiter and Pisces, like all of these expansive things.
Yeah, in Pisces. And then
but
understanding what Pisces is.
And my Taurus my moon is in Taurus and my rising is in Gemini. I'm like, okay. So you got this communication thing on deck.
Yes.
You love social media, you eat it up, you're gonna win whatever you put out there. Like that's the way I think about it. If I'm putting it out there, you're looking.
Yes.
And so be reasonable. You don't gotta be like, because you're trying to make finance. Now, we're not trying to sell out, but what is the best way that I could be of service to humanity, uplift my own humanity? There's a lot of things that I took from more science that I created in my own life and I kept. I was like, I'm keeping this. I don't want to be black. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't want to be any of these things. I don't want to be a United States citizen. I don't want to be a resident of the state of Delaware.
So let's talk about that a little bit because it was in my journey. Okay, my son has been incarcerated for 11 years. Mm-hmm. And at the first year that he was incarcerated, I just was mentally and emotionally completely out of it. Like literally, I had a nervous breakdown of the whole 9 yards. But finally, I did get up. And one of the first things that I did when I got up was integrate myself into a lawful community, find the people who study the law, and that would be the way to liberate my son. I had to understand the law in order to I guess, combat it or be adversarial or have my, my appeal in process and ready. So I started with that community and somehow it just led to the Moors science.
Right.
And once I got to the Moors science of law and started understanding and comprehending, I was like, oh my God, this is the red pill or the blue pill of the matrix. Like, and once you start, you cannot literally go back because you cannot forget what you know. When I found out that the little word of made all the difference, the Constitution of the United States versus the United States Constitution.
Or the one for.
Yeah, one is for business and profit, and the other one is about our Aboriginal rights. Okay, even with the 13th in there, we just go past that.
Like which one? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. But that was my journey. That was me choosing the blue pill or red. I don't remember whichever. I chose
that level.
At that level. Right.
Because there's going to be another level where you get the veil gets lifted again.
Well, I did 8 years of more science of learning. And I would pull all-nighters, 2 and 3 days. I would just be up, work all day as a school teacher and come home all night. And I was doing this learning and studying of more science and the language. And one of the things I found is it really is the words of art, the spelling, the spelling. And when I realized the spelling, then that took me I jumped over to lift another veil to the spiritual aspect and learned that the Bible and the Quran, they all have a place to play in the law. A lot of the laws that we look at today were written. Yes, they were written by, the Christians. Okay, we'll call them the Christians of the Bible, So I'm pretty pissed off about a lot of that.
That's what I mean. Like, I was pissed off.
Yeah.
I was angry.
Yeah.
And I didn't really understand about, how people talk about you have to control your emotion. I didn't understand how to control my emotion, period, as a woman, going through a lot of the things that I went through, growing up, having a baby at 20 years old. Like, I wasn't ready to. I mean, apparently the universe said I was ready, but I wasn't ready when I look back at it. I should be just having my first child now. I feel like I'm mature enough now. You know what I mean? Like, we just put in the cart before the horse.
Yeah.
Because that's what it is that we do. Like, it's a rites of passage for us women to have been molested in this country. It's a rites of passage for us to have been raped. It's a rites of passage for us to have been in domestic violence situations. I'm like, okay, we done. I'm done with this. So I had to learn to control my emotion, because now I'm finding out, wait a minute, we were already here? Wait a minute, we're not Negro, we're not Black, we're not colored, we're not African American?
Right.
Like,
or more
we're not African?
Yeah, we're not
Wait, we're not Indian?
Yeah, well, that
I'm looking up the word, because that word
yes.
was captured Title 25 of the United States Code.
Yes. Okay.
All right, Indian.
Yes.
So I'm speaking semantically.
Yes. Yes.
We are the Aboriginal Americans, but I didn't know that. I'm thinking dead prez. I'm an African. I'm an African. So you know what's happening. You an African. You an African. AFRICA, Puerto Rico. Like, that was me. And red, black, and green, or red, whatever I was going through. But then I realized, I don't care how conscious you are, how many books you read, if you're not able to actually apply that in life, and you're talking about moral science, and you have to go and receive food stamps and purchase of care, and of course, certain educated Moors will say, oh, that's your reparations. I don't want reparations like that.
Neither do I.
I understand what you're saying, but nah.
Not in food stamps.
I just don't want that. So...
Because that's taking away our independence and our self-sufficiency. We're not looking for those kinds of reparations. Give us our 40 acres and a damn mule.
I'm not even interested in any of your fiction,
I want
your
my
fake
40
currency.
acres.
Like, people be on the vote and stuff like that. And I'm like, my ancestors didn't vote for this corporation that is created, that has been recreated, that has been recreated. And the only civilizations that have existed that have not been conquered are the ones that stay true to their Aboriginal Indigenous information systems.
But how many of them actually do? And land is the money. So if they really want to give us reparations, then give us 40 acres worth of land. And by the end of the day, when they have done that, every African or every Moorish American in this nation will have the land, and we will be the ones wealthy.
I'm not interested in waiting around for anybody recognizing a thing or giving me anything that I know that I am from heaven to earth.
Yes.
Period. So I'm going to go get mine.
Okay.
If it means that what I had at the time was my mom was leaving out of Molly's old-fashioned ice cream. She's tired. She didn't understand that retail would do this much. And she's 65 years old, but I'm running up and down the road to King Simon Productions, making vegan food, and people are loving it. She's like, why don't you make that food here? Try to sell it here. So I'm sending out my little text list. I have a goal to make $300 a day. I thought I was balling. Because remember, the other choice was purchase of care. I mean, not purchase of care, was to get, whatever they call welfare. And I never even applied for that check, but I was just saying, like, I can make $270 by whipping up some shea butter, putting some vitamin E oil, some aloe in it, you know what I'm saying? And putting love, truth, peace, freedom, justice, and like, hey, this is what I got. That's how I roll.
Right. And your brand is you.
Yes.
You are your brand.
Abundance Child.
Yes.
We have Abundance Child International, Abundance Child Ministries, Abundance Child LLC. What you need.
Right.
That is my name, literally. Now, I know I am who I say I am when I get on the grid.
Yes.
But my name is Abundance Child. And I realized to use my game, my godly ability to master everything, whether it was shea butter, whether it was making food. I was like, I'm going to go get mine. Because I chose to incarnate in this era where fiat reserve notes and currency is important in order to purchase things. So how do you do that? Well, the only way to do business with an entity is as an entity. You don't come in on the private side using your social security number. You really want to get something, then you create a business entity, create your own LLC or your own S Corp, or you create an entity where you can get a better version of loans and using your business credit and start keeping your personal. So the things that you wish to do for your family and your lineage, you can go do that because now you have the resources to do it.
Yes.
That's what I'm into. I don't need anybody to recognize me because according to their law, if I say I'm a Moor, if I say I'm Aboriginal American, it will have to be the Moors or the Aboriginal Americans to say that you're not one of us. You cannot tell me I'm not who I say that I am. And according to my genealogy, not any type of blood test or any DNA test, because that stuff is not real. I use birth certificates. I use death certificates. And I'm like, hey, my mom was from here. She's born in North Carolina. My grandmother was born in North Carolina. My great-grandmother was born in South Carolina. And her great-grandmother was born in South Carolina. And then on my maternal father's side, these people were born over here and over here. And I'm like, wait a minute. We're Aboriginal Americans. Some of us didn't come over here on a boat. Why are you trying to loop us over into the Negro category?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Or African
You got us
American.
focused on African. I'm not saying that, some of us, including me, because I do have a strong African, for the lack of a better word, lineage. That is what those ancestors have been guiding me spiritually. Like, hey, let me give you some formulas over here.
Right.
Let me show you how to talk to us. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I realized that, and I was like, I don't need anybody to give me a damn thing. Like, I was doing all the paperwork, and I'm grateful for that because, like you, it got me free. Got my children back. They took them. They put them in foster care for a whole month. Put me in Baylor's Institute, and I stood on my square. My whole family was like, just say your name is such and such and your social security. I was like, no, I am Nilba Empress Tamaray Bay, Wawaset Territorial States. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I'm the authorized representative of the decedent's estate. Like, well, ma'am, do you have any of this to prove? So that paper, that spelling
was
on that
important.
paper. But it was also important that I have the Ashay of my ancestors, the Ashay of the Orisha on my mouth. So when I'm speaking, my honor,
Yes.
not your honor, my honor,
yes.
when I'm speaking to you, you know that I am very clear that I don't even have to use up your jurisdiction, because at the end of the day, I didn't have her in one of your foreign hospitals.
Yes.
I squat and I had my daughter. You understand what I'm saying? So why are you enticing me to slavery? 13th Amendment. Do you understand what I'm saying? So it was my ancestors that were helping me speak.
Yes.
It was certain Orisha that were helping me speak.
Yes.
And I am at a place in life where I want to honor nature. And I want to honor those forces of nature. I want to honor those mediums that we have. Because at the end of the day, if I have an issue, I'm going to go to my mother. And I'm going to be like, Mama, I need help. I'm not going to go to the mother of all mothers first. You know what I mean? So that's the way that I see it now.
You go to your earthly mother first, and then from there to
because she's going to give me the wisdom.
Right.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
There's nothing on this earth that my mother has said that was wrong. I'm not saying she hasn't done wrong because she's not perfect.
Right.
That's a woman. That's somebody who has her own destiny, who's evolving.
Yes.
But the information that she gave me from mother to daughter has always been 100. That's why I chose her. I learned, what I'm saying is I learned all this in Moorish science. Everything is a contract.
And I never realized until, again, we took the red pill and we went down the rabbit hole of the Moorish science, where it branches off like an octopus or a tree with roots, because it goes from the law to natural law to the birth certificate versus a certificate of live birth, to our mothers, to our religions. And, I'm going to read a little passage from this book.
Don't give up too much. That's for
no, just a little bit.
Show.
But I just want people to, want to give them something in the conscious raising department. But I will tell you conclusively, I am still learning. And the one thing I know about more science, the more you read, the more you study, the less you know, and the more you got to read and the more you got to study. Okay. So I don't think we'll ever be done with it. What makes me so disheartened is that so many of our, whether they're African heritage or Moorish, who were originally here upon these lands, and there was a mating, obviously, men and women mated.
This is a very, very diverse land that we're on right now. We did a lot of trade. We did a lot of commerce.
But our people don't know. And if you say to them, I'm a Moor, or you're a Moor, or they don't even know what you're talking about. The best they can come up with is I'm African American. And that disappoints me. That's disheartening to me. I want them to know
who
more.
we are. We really don't know who we are. So I think genealogy is really important, because not everybody's a Moor, in my personal opinion. I think that when I came into that science, I was very hardcore. We're all Moors. We're not black. And, sometimes you have to take things to the spiritual, and you have to really ask, be like, who am I? And can you please guide me to the actual birth records and the death records and things that are on the record, so I can know who I am. So I know how to utilize everything that you did in the previous life that I have in my DNA so that I could build on the foundation that was already given. Now, we don't want to say that we're Moors when we're not. We don't want to say that we're Native American when we're not. We don't want to deny our so-called African heritage when, we should. There's people who went through the Mafa, the Middle Passage, that we need to uplift that energy. And if we're denying them because all of a sudden we're saying we're just Native American, so we need to know.
I think it's important that we do know exactly who we are. Yes. And again, I'll go back and just slightly elaborate on that. The Moors were already here. The Native Americans, the Moors, whatever name you want to call it, they were already here. And then, of course, at some point, the Dutch came, and then, of course, slavery, and then we brought Africans here. They brought
Africans were already here.
Well, see, that is not something that I'm familiar with, that the Africans were already here, only the Moors and the Native Americans. My studies have not taken me to the Africans until after the slavery, the slave
trade. Who was
trade.
Mansa? You've heard that? Mansa, you've heard that?
Yes.
Right. I mean, he was a great, very, very wealthy man that brought all types of things over here, whether it was religion, whether it was animals, whether it was culture.
Yes.
And these people actually came over by the way of what we know as continental Africa today. We were already coming over here and establishing trade relations and going back and forth.
Yes.
So for people to act like the first time and the only time, as we learned in school, because they were giving us the roots narrative, was that the only reason we're in this land is because we were slaves. And the original people here are the people with the straight hair that are light skinned that kind of look like Mexican. They marketed us this so-called Native American, which is a permanent race of miscegenated people who mix with other people, when Christopher Columbus owned records that the people had hair that looked like this, that were my complexion, right?
Yes.
So
I'm going to do some more study on the trade. I had forgotten all about the trade. Yes, there was trade.
And then even after that, sister, you'll find out those things and you'll read books by Ivan Van Sertima. You'll read Chancellor Williams' books. You'll read all of these different books from people, right? And even those narratives have been misconstrued because, for example, they talk about the Olmecs. And they always say the Olmecs were African, but the Olmecs never themselves said that they were African. We just assumed they were African because they had so-called, what they call Negroid features. We have got a lot of work to do.
Yes.
And I think that's why I'm interested in doing this book club, because I feel as though I want to read with sisters things that I'm interested in that will help me uplift myself and my daughters and my mother and my family and the community that I serve. And that we could share our thoughts with each other, and then we could see how we could continue to build on a regular way, not on some old, like, we got to be a part of anybody's organization. Like, just knowing that one aspect that I just stated today about the presence of so-called Africans already being in the presence of so-called this political designated space that we call the United States, already being here, that is going to change people. That can even change the minds of the Europeans.
Well, the thing is that many of our elected officials today, the ones that have been around for a while, our attorney general, the governor, all of these people, the judges, they already know. They know our history and our truth better than some of our young people coming up today. And I am offended by that. And I realize, hey, like myself, I'm busy. I need to do some reading up to find out more about the trades that took place prior.
Follow the trade, follow the food.
Yeah, right. And always follow the money. But so there's time. It takes time to read books and it takes time to do study, and with life being busy, sometimes we just don't have time to read every book and to study everything and to know it all. So having the book club is going to be great because it'll be a dissemination of information. But a lot of stuff that I know now, after my son was incarcerated, I wish that I had known before he was incarcerated. I got a good, healthy dosage of it. When I was a part of an organization called the Rites of Passage, I got a really good, healthy dosage of it, back in those days. But again, you grow out of that. And you search for more because it's not feeding you anymore. Like, I'm hungry and I need more knowledge, and you're just not supplying the nourishment that I need. So you got to step out and get involved in other things. But I want to say for the moms that as much as I'll make the excuse for them being so busy, 10 minutes, 15 minutes at the end of the day, if it's just to tuck your kids in, spend some time with them, talking to them about their true the real heritage, the real story of their lineage, and of course their posterity. Like, tell them the truth. I'm so tired of schools, and having worked in the school system, I am fed up with schools teaching Christopher Columbus and Caesar Rodney and all of these people, like they were atrocious.
Right. But do you know who your grandmother is? Do you know what your grandmother's name is?
Yes.
Like, that's what's important.
That is important.
Because those are our guides, and those will be our children's heroes. Like I said, my mother is my hero.
Yes.
You're not going to hear me say that anybody who is popular or who has an office or anything like that. To me, those are not my guides. Those are not the people that I look up to at all. So what I've given is I try to be the best version of myself and be the hero to my daughters, as my mom is a hero to me.
Yes.
And just keep using that and hoping my daughters will be better than me in whatever it is that I've done.
Yes.
But the reason I feel like I've been successful in that is because I did homeschool them well before this COVID thing.
Yes.
I did change their diet. I did change the way that they think. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So their hero would never be a like Barack Obama. You know how people wear other people? Like, we would never rock Barack Obama and Michelle Obama because we understand what you stand for, but for the society and the community that we serve, that is not the epitome of highness and things that we are, ascribing to be.
Yes.
So we are the heroes in our family.
Yes. I think that, from my perspective only, people like, and I'm just going to say Michelle Obama, to me, she is a shero. Okay. Whatever her political stance and all of that, I think it was her grace and her elegance, her class, the way that she presented herself and the information that she was allowed to share.
Mm-hmm.
And if you listen carefully in some of her speeches, she is giving up information on the code that if you understand it, you will know what she is saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I would definitely rock a t-shirt that says Michelle Obama out of respect for her amazing class and her dignification. Like I would rock a t-shirt with your face on it. Because I respect you as woman power.
I was only using that as an example because that was one of the greatest things that I could say.
Yes.
I myself went and bought my mom a Michelle Obama mask for her to rock. That's her generation. She gets it. You know what I mean? Like I said in the beginning, I'm not interested in being a United States citizen. I'm not interested in being a resident of the state of Delaware. I believe that I'm a part of an Aboriginal Indigenous society. I already am.
Yes.
I'm the grand governess for that society. This is really real. Like, I don't care, and I'm not worried if the United States recognizes it. My God recognizes it or wouldn't have me put myself in that situation. These are the things that help me get my children out of the clutches of the United States in the state of Delaware when they did some really illegal things to myself and to my family. So for me, I don't aspire to those things. But as far as everything that you said, she does represent divine femininity, and that's very important, and I think that we need that. I'm just saying that we need to create our role models and not let society dictate who our role models are.
Yes.
So, because of music, so the next person could be like Beyonce. Well, I understand and I love everything that she's doing, but I know people who are really representing Ashun way better than she is just because she has the money to put out videos and everybody has access to it. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So that's what I want my daughters to know before they start promoting other people that you don't even know. Yes. To me, before I ever rock Beyonce, I would rock Rachelle Wilson.
Yeah.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. Yes,
because
I
can feel that. That's real energy. I've touched her. I felt her. She supported me at my business. We do business together. We've had major media things happen there. You're part of the secret society where you can come and get juju juice.
Yes!
Everybody don't know about that.
Right.
So that's what I'm saying. And I think that's not enough that's going on. And we're always looking on the outside to big ourselves up as opposed to coming from within.
Coming from within. One of the other things I wanted to touch on really quick, and I've got to get to read this one little piece. When you talk about our moms being our heroes, like, it's so interesting. I'm 57 years old. My mother crossed and made the transition in 2015. And so everything that my mother taught me up to that point in my life, like I heard her, I listened, it was important, I took some of the advice, but none of it really just took hold of me until after, or probably in that last conversation that she and I had at the hospital, in the room, when it was a private conversation and it was the last time that I would ever talk to my mother from a living perspective. And the things that she said to me in that quiet last 45 minute, 25 to 45 minute conversation, I live by that now. And everything that she ever taught me over my life was in that little 35, 45 minute conversation. And, she made sure that I remembered a couple of things. Ronnie, make sure that this, and you always do that, and you never do these things, and do more of that, and do less of this. And it's like in my brain. It's in my heart, it's in my spirit, it's in my soul. And I think she will always be my Shiro. But now, I do have times when I wish that I could reach out to that elder woman of knowledge and wisdom, or a grandfather even, just that wise person that I could talk to and say, hey, what do you think about this? And kick some knowledge and really get some good answers back. I no longer have that here on the physical. I always have to go to what my mom called the prayer closet. Yeah. Okay. And it's so interesting because it was really a closet with a door and it was really dark in there. But in the prayer closet now is where I have to go to ask my heroes and Shiros for wisdom and advice, So I do honor my mom, and I would with her face on it. I would definitely, and all her little anacronyms,
An elder once told me, even when I don't agree with my mom in this day and age, she once told me to go to the women in nature, the elders, the great cosmic mothers, our great cosmic fathers. So go to the ocean and just listen. Yes. See what they have to say. Just listen. Yeah. Go sit on the grass, literally. Put your feet in the grass.
Yes.
Take a bath. Go to the river. Go sit underneath a tree and just listen. When it's nighttime or when we first hear the birds, see what the birds are saying.
Yes.
Things like that. Teach. And I was like, what? Okay. Yes. And I found myself in some of my depressed moments, my lonely moments. And I would just be still, because sometimes nature forces you to be still. Like you think you're being depressed when really that's the time you're supposed to be being still and listening. So I found myself listening to the birds at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
That's so interesting. Like there have been times in my life, the same thing, sis, like I'm just asleep or think I'm asleep. And all of a sudden 3:30 in the morning and the birds. And I hear them and I understand, I comprehend what they're saying to me.
That's something.
That's really big. But I'm really big on studying the stars, the ancestors of the sky.
I love that.
I'm really big. I don't miss a day. And if I do, I'll get back to it. But I'm really big on understanding and comprehending what the stars are doing today. Some days the stars are moving around and, maybe Uncle Jupiter and Cousin Mars aren't really the best of friends. So when they get together, it might be a whole problem.
Right.
So that's a day where I may need to sit back and
chill out.
Yeah, and chill out.
Not the day to be posted.
Right.
Right.
And then so whatever the stars are doing, I take a lot of guidance from that and understanding not just myself and the best course of action for me, but also so that I can understand the people around me who have no idea that they're being affected by Jupiter and Uranus and Mars in Leo, or Pisces. So I take that as well. I want to read this out loud, just this one thing, and I know it's going to take us right in.
Where's it from?
This is from our book.
Oh, yes.
The Symbols, the first prophetess of Mami Wata.
Mami Wata.
Mami Wata. The theft of African prophecy by the Catholic Church. All right, so this is going to be a conversation.
We know the Catholic Church is the original Christian church, too, so that says a lot.
Well, the Catholic Church stole a lot of stuff. Yeah. And they're a city within themselves, the Vatican. They've got their own.
And even before they
some of
were
the
the
symbolism,
Catholic Church,
if you look at it, you'll see the snake head Have you seen that in the Vatican City, the snake head?
Yeah. I went to Ursula.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Right.
And my stepfather was Catholic, so we had the best of all worlds growing up.
I don't like the serpent but it tells me a lot.
Right, I didn't either, but now I'm like, yes, let it. You know what I mean? Like, need that serpent to rise, like Kundalini energy. Like, me studying other religions helped me because I've always been seeking and searching.
Yes.
So I was like, Hinduism, oh, that's deep. Buddhism,
yes.
Oh, that's deep. And then someone introduced me to Bahai Faith, and I'm like, so what I found was Ifa in all of them, actually. But so that Ifa led me to that book, actually.
I swear, I think a lot of our connections, I don't know what we were in other lives. This is truth off the cuff. Like, whatever we were in other lives, we were something important to one another. Our journeys have so many simulations to one another. Like, you and I just love you. Yeah, I connect to you, sis. I really do. All right, so here's the controversy that folks are going to love to hear this. Yeah, they are. They're going to love it. The first prophets of Mami Watuta were African women. Mm-hmm. They were called Sibyls, meaning that they were Mami Wata, priestesses and priests of the Oans. I'm still working on some of the language. The more advanced of this matriarchal divine order are known as Amaganses in West Africa today. Mm-hmm. They can call up the dead and even the souls of the living. They were the ancient oracle used in ancient Greece, Roman, and Babylon. These prophecies are the oldest in the world. Did you hear that? These prophecies are the oldest in the world. It is through the divine blood of these Sibyl priestesses that the patriarchal kingships of the pharaohs, the Hebrew prophets, and the Chaldean priests were born. Now, I know what that means to me. What does that mean to you, sis?
I mean, word for word, it just means that we're living in a time right now where society, the world, politically, socially, economically, religiously, are run by ancient cultures that straight plagiarize ancient cultures, that really disrespected and took out the woman out of these cultures. And the women are the founders of a lot of things. And
everything.
Right. I mean, the things was the best word I could use right now, but the founders of so many things turned around and said, hey, you can no longer even practice these things, but we'll give you a little bit of something to be in these things, because we know without you, we cannot have these things. And so we grow up and we just go along with everything. But every once in a while you get that old ancient mother that comes back in the name of Rachelle Wilson.
Yes.
Name that comes in the way of abundance child. And we're just like, hey, something's not right. Like, no wonder I wasn't getting down with this. So I'm empowered by that. And it also helps me to love my brothers even more to hear this information, because it's always talking about the divine feminine. But what about the divine masculine? Because to me, the highest energy, the highest porthole while we're in this realm is between the divine masculine and the divine feminine, which comes together to create. And that is where I'm like, I want my babies to be back on that type of time.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So we're constantly cultivating. That's why we have the Order Mother Earth and we have the Girl Society, constantly cultivating the divine feminine in us. And I'm doing it in the way that I know best. I know how to take care of a home.
Yes.
So I run Drop Squad Kitchen like it's my home. It literally is my home. It's my ministry.
As much as you work there, yes, it is.
And so I really strongly believe that you could send a young woman to me, and within 24 hours, her being around me, she will have learned some serious business, nationality, law, commerce, and some spiritual things.
One of the main reasons, sister, that I went into becoming a high school teacher after 33 years of journalism is because I wanted to do something more. There was something in my soul. I was just dried up with journalism, like tired of just so many things go with
Reporting.
reporting, and then having people tell me that I couldn't report because then, that's going to be bad for us. Like I couldn't tell on the police when I would see them doing things. I wasn't allowed to report on those stories. So those kinds of things really just, my soul was hungry for something. And I always knew innately, just based on who I am, I have a very masculine kind of an energy. I'm a very strong woman. You know what I mean? I'm not afraid of a lot of things. And some people might consider that as a masculine energy.
Mm-hmm.
But I always knew that woman power, there's something to that. And I said, I'm going to go into high school teaching. Like I didn't pick one subject. I was a substitute and I loved it because I got to be everywhere as a substitute teacher. But I am so big on empowering our young students, brothers and sisters, but girls, young girls. That means so much to me. I think it is because I realized that we started out divinely as a feminine society. Okay, and that the divine feminine is actually the divine itself, and that's not taking anything away from my brothers.
I mean, it is what it is.
It is what it is. But a nation can never rise any higher than its women. You're never going to get any further than
status of the woman.
The status of the woman. So we've got men who are beating up on women inside of homes and beating up on them, economically or beating up on them emotionally and all of these kinds of things.
And we have women doing the same things to the men.
I don't like
it. Yeah, so I always say the same thing about my business. I'm like, I'm only as good as my weakest employee, and I'm only as good as my weakest child right now. And sometimes they change. Sometimes one of them is more needy than the other. Sometimes my staff, one person is more needy than the other. So I really feel that the same way about the community and about the world. So I believe that there is a shift that's coming. I believe that there are some things that's coming that people need to really be prepared for, and let COVID be an example of the very minimum of how life can be changed immediately. Where I wasn't affected by this COVID thing in any negative way, in any way, shape, or form. And I am thriving right now because right when COVID happened, for 1 second, I got nervous. I'm like, what's going to happen in my business? What's going to happen in my life? Oh my God. And I did that meditation thing I told you about. I did that prayer thing. I really started speaking with my ancestors and my lineage of ancestors that come in the form of Irumile, or what people call Orisha, and started really having a hands-on approach and listening and divining. And I was told, listen, you could either be natural and listen to me, God, or you can listen to the United States, the state of Delaware, and follow their rules and their law. And so what I do is every day is I be obedient based off of what I am told to do every day. Some days it's saying, listen, you're going to have a rough day. Your character, you're going to really. Some days it might say you're going to have a negative energy that's going to come in. And it might say, I need you to fix these types of herbs and bathe in this so that you are protected. I need you to pray over your daughters. It comes that way, and it's very hard. It takes a lot of responsibility, but I have found that I've been very successful by just being obedient. And obedient to me looks like treating people how I want to be treated, and asking my elders, and when I say my elders, I'm talking about those that I cannot see most of the time, to show me, because we're always going to have problems. So can you please show me the fastest and the quickest and the direct route to get over those challenges so I do not have to repeat this lesson again. So when a lot of people lost out in COVID, I was thriving because it was like, okay, you need to be working on this. Remember you said like your mother, said a little bit less of this, a little bit more of that.
Yes.
I'm getting that too. Like, you need to be invoking more Obatala in your life right now.
Right.
You need, he's a very, very mature individual. He knows how to give all the time. He's one of the most creative beings. For God's sake, he created all of the human beings. Be more like him. Wear a little bit more white. Be more calm. Let that be your let be your cloak of armor. Not let it be your voice. Because remember how strong your voice is, especially as women. The power of the mouth. Make sure you have the power and the Ashay of the Orisha, the Ashay of goodness on your mouth when you speak. And some days it's like, no, you really need to be mindful. And then somebody will come in and it pisses me off and I'm just running off at the mouth. And then I wonder why my money didn't look right next week.
Right.
I'm wondering why this door was closed. Like, I thought I had it. Right. I thought I had it. I don't understand why I didn't get that.
And you fell for it. Yeah.
Well, I'm not trying to get that lesson tomorrow. Please, may I be a better version of myself than I was yesterday, and that's for this. Today, I need you, Babe Shu. Can you come and can you give me the discernment to be like, hey, this is a test, so I'm learning now to be more specific, but I've always got that lesson. Remember they're like, write it down. Be specific about the man that you want.
Yes,
I left this point out. So I'm learning in life.
And the whole man goes to shits.
Right, to be specific, but also know that I was supposed to go through that situation, because sometimes it's for me, sometimes it's for another woman. And I just love where I'm at right now. Just love everything that I'm magnetizing right now, because I am in a very obedient season. And the only reason I'm in an obedient season is because of what you spoke about earlier. Like, you don't want to be selfish, but you don't want to give so much of yourself where you don't have anything left of yourself. So I'm in a place right now where I just want to give. I just want to share everything, all this knowledge, all this information I have. I am being creative enough where I can love myself and have enough confidence in myself to be like, hey, you know what? We don't get enough God hot. We don't get enough MCs. Everybody wants to talk about WAP. You know what? I want to bring South Rock here to Delaware. Matter of fact, 11.7, whatever it costs, no matter how much it's going to cost, I'm going to do that. I'm really doing that.
Yes.
So that's my way of being able to magnetize the things that I like in this life. I want to learn comedic yoga. Let me get IET Blues on the phone. I need to learn about spirituality or something. Let me call this Babalawo.
So many people from so many different
lifetimes.
Yes. Oh, different lifetimes. I was going to say different scenarios.
Yesterday was a different lifetime. I went to sleep. I died and I woke up this morning and I had a brand new opportunity to give thanks to breathe. I have a brand new opportunity to be a different person. Yesterday, I could have been an a-hole. I could have been cursing out everybody. No control over my emotions. Really bad with spending money, because that really was yesterday. Nowadays, I'm like, oh yeah, let me go deposit this thousands of dollars in the bank, because I saw the value of, maybe I should save for a rainy day. Like, you just living off the cuff. Right. And my younger brother told me that, and I was like, I didn't like the way that. Please, ancestors, show me how not to live off the cuff. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is, yesterday was 2 seconds ago. If I thought I was ugly, I could say right now I am beautiful, and just be beautiful. We can change it like that. This is our matrix. We are in charge. We are in charge of every aspect. So when I realized the Matrix, that movie, that red pill, that blue pill, like, it doesn't have to be so deep about like, oh, this is about society. No, this is my own life. I choose to not be emotional anymore. I choose to let not anybody take me off my square. I will not be defeated. I make the best vegan food in the United States, point blank, bottom line. Nobody's going to tell me that I don't. And so I put that type of energy in my food. I'm not saying that there are people who are not better, but for goodness sake, mine is the best, because that's all I know is how to be the best. Okay. So that's how I live, and that's what I want to encourage young women and young men who are around me to strive to excellence by being the best version of themselves that they can be, and not ever looking at anybody else in comparison. Do what your destiny is, what your game is, your godly ability to master everything. Here, then you wouldn't have the opportunity to do it. The fact that we are here and we are alive, this means we have a chance.
Ashay. Oh my God, girl, you just empower me so much. You empower my whole spirit. Like, I just appreciate you. I respect you so much. So we've only got maybe 5 minutes left.
Oh my gosh,
I know. I can't believe it's been an hour already, right? But that's how it works out when you're really having a good time and talking with really good folks. So I want to say one thing in closing, just to make sure that. And I know this is going to be good, so we're going to close out with this one, everybody. Here we go. I'm going to say 2 words. Massive incarceration. Go for it.
State of mind. In reality, it is real. And that means that we're going through something spiritually that we need to get out of the bind for. So to me, we need to look at the spiritual way to not mass incarcerate ourselves. It's not enough to keep talking about we getting shot. It's not enough to keep talking about we're getting locked up, which is another form of slavery. Remember, everything that ever was that ever will be already is, and that we are really just having the physical experience. It's up to us to create the experience. When we're really done, Rachelle, we will be done. We will literally be able to walk in to those prisons and get our daughters and our sons out. But that first has to start up here. Why are we in there? It's because for too long we relied on our oppressors for food, shelter, clothing, transportation, communication, spiritual needs. And as I said earlier, look at all the successful revolutions and the people who have not been conquered, whether it was Ethiopia, whether it's the Yoruba people, whether it's the Haitian Revolution. They always had a traditional Aboriginal information system that they use, where they use their ancestors. That's what the Europeans are doing. They know everything about astrology. They know everything about Freemasonry because they taught us. They know everything about government because this was our government first.
Yes.
They put the Bible on us, but we already had the Bible. We are the women who wrote the Bible. You know what I mean? We are still here. So mass incarceration looks like our spirit is mass incarcerated. So what do you do on an individual level? What do you do on an individual level? So what you're doing on an individual level is you're spreading the information, you're giving us knowledge, you're telling us about the platforms who we can work with, who we definitely should not be working with, who's for us, who's not for us. And you're magnetizing people that I see in 1 to 2 years, justice will be home. Justice will be home. I really mean that, Rachelle. And I also want you to follow through on the spiritual things, because with everything, there is a sacrifice. Anything that we want in this life, if we don't want to be incarcerated like this, and if we don't want to have to live in slavery anymore, then what is the sacrifice that we have to do in order to come out of it? Sometimes it's just learning who you are. Sometimes it's going back to the ways of your ancestors. We haven't done that. That's the one thing we haven't tried. We have not tried to do that.
As a people.
As individuals and as a people. Because as individuals, I can see in my own life how spirit works. Using energy works because energy is real.
Yes.
I see it in my own life. I see the difference between me struggling at Drop Squad Kitchen versus me not struggling. I'm at a place in my life right now, Rachelle, I don't have any problems with any of my relationships with any people that I know. Not one. Everything is so peace. I'm not saying everything is perfect, but everybody treats everybody how they want to be treated. And the people who I felt like did it, I had to separate from them. That doesn't mean that I don't love them, but when I'm away from them, I'm encouraging them to be stronger, for me to be stronger. So when we see each other again, that we can meet on some type of common ground. We have not done that for ourselves because we're so busy trying to be up the Europeans behind. We're so busy trying to keep up with the Jones. We're so busy trying to do with their school. We're so busy trying to follow their law. We're so trying, you know what I mean? Like there's always there's always something that happens where we have an opportunity. People are Breonna Taylor, as you suggested, George Floyd. These are all opportunities, but what did we do? We went right back into the system. We went right back into where the funding was, and we did exactly what everybody wanted us to do. Nobody really stepped out and said, to hell with y'all schools. Not another one of our souls will be in your schools. To hell with y'all jobs. Not another one of us are going to be working for your companies. To hell with y'all finance. Not another one of us is going to use Federal Reserve notes. We're going to barter and trade. We're going to find out who has enough. Nobody is doing that. Nobody's really I can't say nobody, but I'm saying the masses of us are not doing what it takes for us to really be free. Our freedom doesn't look like the way we saw in the Harriet Tubman movement. That's not what our freedom looks like anymore. Freedom is more about a state of mind. It's about what is your value and what is your destiny and what are you here for. Really tapping into that, really getting the help that you need with your living ancestors. You are a living ancestor, as above, so below. So why do I need to wait till Rachelle dies to be like, that sister was so powerful. Oh my God, we had so many parallels in life. You know what I'm saying? From the more science to the astrology to the way that we think, the way that we walk. I'm telling you right now, I need your guidance. We come together now. We're like, let's read together, sis. Let's get this together, sis. Let me put you on my show. Why don't you come and do a show at Drop Squad? We need to do more of that. You know, and not so much even talking. We need to be breaking bread. Like, why are so many people in the same 5-mile radius opening up a vegan restaurant? Nobody's talking to anybody. To me, that's not conscious. To me, that's not revolutionary. To me, that's capitalist. To me, that's why we're not coming up. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, too many people running around here. And I even heard a politician told me the other day, she was like, Abundance, you're just too much, people are not ready. But I'm listening. Listening is not enough. We need to do. And right now we're putting money into other people's families. I don't care where you work. If you were an employee, there's nobody at Drop Squad Kitchen that is an employee. I don't play that. I'm not making slaves out of my people. Nobody is an employee. Do you understand what I'm saying? So as long as you're willing to be an employee somewhere, that means you're putting money into somebody else's family and they're living the private side life with jets and all these things that on their own land, be able to have their own food, their own shelter, their own clothing lines and stuff like that. And we're not even making our own toothpaste, our own toilet paper. To me, it's that serious. Let's get back to where we were before segregation, when we were just like, we're all we have. When we remember we're all we have, we'll stop looking at everybody else to save us. We don't need them. We don't worry about the red and the blue, the Democratic, the Republican. You know what I mean? Like, we're putting too much energy into stuff, and maybe if we stop putting energy and say, you know what, we're done. We boycott it all. We boycott voting. We boycott the United States. We boycott your school, because we are some powerful beings. And if we go back to the earth and the ancestors and say, hey, I will make my own food. I will grow my own food. I will teach my own children. I will pick my own man. You're not going to let me tell the black man ain't stuff. As far as I know, the black man is God. I birthed him, so he has to be a God. That's where we got to be at. But we're too busy, watching MTV, being on Instagram and stuff like that, and not utilizing it so that we can build up our own families. Because we don't even know who our families are. Like, everybody's just African. We just African. Oh, well, no. We just Moors. Oh, no. We're all Israelites. Like, can you just be who you're going to be and do it? And then get with other people who's doing it and let's get it together. Like, we're not focused. So we're all incarcerated. We're incarcerated mentally. We're incarcerated physically. We're incarcerated socially, economically. And I'm done.
And so am I. Ashay. You are listening to Abundance Child, Drop Squad Kitchen, and Rachelle Wilson, Make Some Intelligent Noise.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah, man. Yo, this was a powerful. I want to do this again.
Anytime.
Yeah,
I love doing this.
I know.
I just don't have the strength and the confidence to come back.
Oh, God, no.
That's what I'm saying. I really look up to you.
I'm going to make you.
When you going to do your thing? And I'm like, all right.
I'm going to make you my co-host here on Sundays.
Okay, let's do it. That's the only day I have off.
Is that right?
It really is. Like, I really was like, I'm not seeing my mama right now because, and she was like, no, it's okay.
Oh,
and I was like, I'm coming to see her as soon as I get out of here.
I love her. I love your mom so much. I truly love her and respect her and honor her for her struggle and her rise. So you are listening and have been listening to Rachelle Wilson, Make Some Intelligent Noise, here highlighting the strong women, the strong woman that has broken through the glass ceilings and just made her own damn room. She's not even in the room with us, and she's made her own room. Ladies and gentlemen, Abundance Child, make sure you stop down at the riverfront and visit with her. Pick up some of her. My personal favorite is the milkshake, but it's not milkshake because there's no cow. The God shake, yes, no cow included.
Yes.
And until then, we'll talk to you. I'll see you right back here on Sunday, and of course Wednesday, when I will have Sherry Dorsey Walker will stop in, and we will be chatting and chiming. And again, I apologize. Melissa Minor Brown was not able to make it. But we are working on rescheduling to get her in here, and that will be the conclusion of my highlighting powerful women in Delaware. You're listening to Rachelle Wilson. Thank you so much. We appreciate you tuning in. We'll see you right back here on Wednesday and, of course, on Sunday. Peace and grace. Yay. Oh, I'm going to leave them with a little something, too.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, my little song
Let
here.
freedom ring them.
Yeah, right? That's what I should be leaving them. But I got something. Actually, it was for you. It's one of my favorite songs in the whole wide world. And I just
Let me find out.
Huh?
I love music, so I'm really interested to hear.
It's probably nothing all that super duper special, but, let me just see if I can find it. Here we go. There it is. This is for you, Abundance.
Okay.
All right, come on, give it to me, girl. Give it to me. Oh, I hate where they give you the ads. I hate the skip ad. There we go.
I definitely don't know this song.
That's my thing right there. That is my theme song. It's funny you talk about Beyonce.
I was like,
she wears the Yoruba beads around her waist. I love that.
You can't see them, yeah.
Right, well, you're never supposed to see them unless it's time to see them.
Because he needs to see them, right.
Hey, this was so good. You know what? I would be very
Now,
under your